Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. And this is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Today we're taking a look at Luna. I covered this previously, but it seems to still be on fire. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the technicals, go ahead and see if we can help you find a good entry point. Just help educate you on best practice, because I've been in the industry for a very long time. I love teaching people how to trade more effectively, smarter, and of course, just having good judgment, right? I think that kind of falls through the cracks sometimes with all these other hypers in the in the industry, and I like to kind of take a calm, more effective approach. So everything you're going to learn here today, I utilize in my Signal group, which I actually share my trades with my community. So feel free to reference that. That is in my Patreon account. Link in the description below. Also join my Telegram community too. Good group of folks there. You can learn a lot. And also note, this is for educational purposes only. You should always do your own research, and I am not a financial advisor. Well, let it be known. All right, so without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right to it. Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at Luna. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first. Just a quick look at the 4-hour chart, get a baseline of what's going on with the market so we know exactly what we need to do moving forward with the coin that we're looking at here today, which again is Luna. So we'll take a look at Bitcoin first. Highly recommend utilizing TradingView.com desktop application. It's the best software I've used myself personally. It works very well, and I use the paid version too, just based on the simple fact that it gives me a lot more indicators. Might recommend you check that out. I do have a link in the description below for, I think it's like a free month worth of indicators there. Kind of just gives you an idea of what that looks like, so you get a better perspective on, and maybe follow along a little bit easier. Again, not required, just less tedious when you have to keep adding and removing those indicators when you need them. So this is a 4-hour chart on Bitcoin. I have a lot of stuff going on here right now based on the fact that there are two channels that we have presently, the 40 to 42,500, and of course 37 to 40,000 as well. We're currently in 37 to 40,000, but we have a strong support level at 38,000 even. That's been tested about 4 times and rejected here today. So it's a good sign, but big picture, we have a major resistance at 40,000, support at 37,000, and a major support at 30,000. Also, furthermore, there is a resistance at 42,500. So we're kind of just in these two channels right now, in and out. Right now, the price is presently below the 50-day simple moving average and above the 200. So all in all, looking pretty good here for Bitcoin. Another thing to note here as well, just so you know, with the TD sequential, we had a significant state of exhaustion recently. So we count all the way up to 9, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bars past 9. So honestly, this bear run should have ended yesterday, but unfortunately it's continued on for an extra 24, 28 hours, so to speak. So I'm expecting a significant reversal here, maybe some sideways action for a little bit, but we're likely going to see 40,000 tested again here in the near future. All right, so that is kind of what I want to show you on Bitcoin. Moving on to Ethereum here, as you can see, with the price action from Bitcoin, it caused Ethereum to break below that ascending triangle pattern. So essentially it did break down. Traditionally they break up, but in this case it went down because, of course, Ethereum is still reliant on Bitcoin, even though it's been moving fairly independent in the last couple of days. So that's kind of where we're at. Good news is the 50-day simple moving average is potentially going to work as a support soon if it drops any lower, and the 200 is, of course, trailing behind. Not much else to note except for the fact that we have a pretty strong, let me go ahead and mark this actually, pretty strong resistance at about 2,900. And then of course we have a strong support at approximately 2,400. Okay. There's also a support at 1,725, but more importantly, if the price comes any lower, you'll see 2,400 likely respond as a support, because it was previously a pretty strong resistance. All right, so that's Ethereum right now. Moving on to Luna, we'll take a quick look at the 1-day chart and see what's going on here. And as we can see, this candlestick, this new one, it just started. So honestly, this most recent candlestick, that was what? See what that increase was. It had a range of about 25% in the last 24 hours. That one essentially just closed here a couple of hours ago. We have the price above the 200 and the 50, of course, no surprise there. The RSI is overextended. So consider trimming your position if you have an open position right now, just based on the fact that Luna, its all-time high is 2230, and we're already at about 1450. Its average true range before the major sell-off from Bitcoin was somewhere in the range of, just say, price where it's at now, 1350 approximately, upwards of about 19. So to me, is Luna going to continue to take off? I don't believe so. Again, just strictly based on the technicals, there's no fundamentals here. Obviously, there's some fundamental catalyst causing the price to continue upwards, whereas Bitcoin's going down, right? Because obviously it's not impervious to that. Look at May 19th, strong sell-off there. I mean, obviously Luna is reliant on Bitcoin to an extent, but it's also moving independent, so that there's obviously some fundamentals there that we're missing. But generally speaking, all fundamentals aside, based on technical charts alone, it's within its average true range right now, which is a good sign for stability, but not a great sign for further growth. I don't personally foresee this happening and the price coming up to $20. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it'll probably continue to go sideways, and we're going to start seeing some up and down action soon. Again, pending no further, significant fundamental catalyst, right? Those things are definitely outside of our control if you're only using the technical charts, right? So that's the one thing we can't see here. So if you have insight on that, feel free to comment below. Obviously, we have a convergence on the MACD on the 22nd of July. That was pretty standard for most. That's when Bitcoin was at its lowest, ramping back up to 32,000 from 29.5. Moving on to the 4-hour chart, RSI is up over 70 as well here. It's trailing off. Just bear that in mind. We could likely see some sideways action here soon. It may also continue upwards. Bear that in mind too, because honestly, there's things that we don't see here. And if you notice, I mean, look at Bitcoin is doing this. It's kind of an upside down. Well, it's upside down compared to Luna, right? It's almost exact opposite. So that really, again, just means there's some significant fundamentals there. But regardless of how you look at it, we did have a convergence on the 1st of August. So we'll just quickly mark that here, because I like to look at where that convergence lines up with potential cloud action, which is the Ishimoku cloud. Let's go ahead and take a look at that now, as a matter of fact. So let's go ahead and enable the Ishimoku cloud. Look at that. It's always fairly close. In other words, within 4 hours, in other words, the MACD on the 4-hour chart told us we have a buy signal, right? Right on the August 1st. That's when this thing, the price increased essentially right here. So when it does that, it basically tells us we got a potential long position, right? So it's usually a good indication for a swing trade. So you want to hold for longer than just 1 day. As you can see here, 2 days later, the price is tremendously higher. I mean, what kind of increase is that? It's approximately 30, we'll just say 30%. It's almost 30%, maybe plus or minus. But generally speaking, the price action is good. So had you picked up on that convergence on the MACD on the 4-hour chart, that would have got you here. Furthermore, had you looked at the Ichimoku cloud, you could have got in a few hours earlier and taken entry right around here. Granted, you could take an entry here too, of course. That probably would have been the more logical place to take entry, just based on the fact that when the price is above the cloud, considered a buy signal. When it's below, it's considered a sell signal. And with this bull run here, there is the price barely dipped below here. And of course, it was below here as well. But honestly, as you can see, it's pretty much just treading, just hovering in the clouds, so to speak. So it's doing very, very well right now. Let's take a look at the potential for exhaustion, though. And it does look like we've hit a 9 on the TD sequential. So that basically just means that we need to consider the fact that there's either going to be a reversal, retracement somewhat, and or some sideways action. So it could go into consolidation. But generally speaking, if you look back here, like see how it counted from 1 to 9, then it reset and it started counting down. Obviously that only got to 5 on the downtrend, but when you see a 9, and it resets, there's a good chance it's going to continue sideways or down for some time. That's just kind of how it works. The 1-hour chart's pretty consistent with that. You can utilize the TD sequential on just say the 4-hour charts or higher, still very relevant, but I found the most success on the 1-hour chart. All right, so that's kind of what's going on there with Luna so far. So long story short, I'm not seeing a lot of good indications of buy signals at this point. I feel like it's going to go sideways and or retrace in the near future here. If it continues to go up, I think that's fantastic. I hope it does. But just based on its average true range, unless there's some kind of, unless the fundamental catalyst here that I'm not aware of is super significant, even more significant than its previous all-time high, then that's a case in point where it could continue on. So right, again, do your own research, but based on the technical charts alone, I don't see any strong indication of buy signals. Let's take a quick look at the 15 though, just to be safe. As we can tell, the price is above EMA and VWAP. It is testing VWAP right now, so for lack of better terms, the VWAP has to reset every 24 hours for the standard deviation to essentially zero out. So you'll see the price, or the VWAP will kind of centralize itself. It had a variance previously of upwards of about, no, let's do that again. It was right around, well, actually, if we go to the top, yeah, we're looking at about 11%. So there's a good chance too, also that being so high, the price will continue sideways for some time. So I think we're due in for some consolidation from Luna, because honestly, it's such a significant increase in one trading day that we need to see some type of sideways action. If it doesn't go sideways, it will obviously retrace hard. And when I say hard, I just mean that, looking at the 1-day chart, when you see this long candlestick here, that usually it splits the difference. So if you have a significant retracement, in other words, the standard deviation is higher than 10%, which it was, we've identified that, you're probably going to expect somewhere in the lines of, halfway. So I would venture to guess you're just spitballing. You're looking at a support at roughly about 1350. Okay, so the price comes down, it's probably going to bounce off 1350 or break and stay below. But that's potentially the new support level at this point, based on the fact that that is essentially what it's its middlemost point, because any type of retracement that happens with a significant increase like this, it'll come down about 50% of the way. At least that's the potential for it to come down the furthest. Will it do that? No, not necessarily. It could very well just keep going sideways and then up again. But if it does retrace, at least we know that it's going to probably split the difference and see it stop right around 1350. That was potentially, if we look back here too, that range is close to a previous support level too. So 1320 is a support in the past. So just bear that in mind. 1320 to 1350 is the support channel at this point. So that's kind of what you want to expect moving forward. So my prediction here for Luna is to see some sideways action, possibly a further increase depending on obviously the fundamentals. But minus that, if Bitcoin continues to go sideways, then we'll probably see Luna go sideways too here in a little bit. But generally speaking, since it's moving independent of Bitcoin right now, it really doesn't matter what Bitcoin's doing, right? I mean, I think Luna will take off even further if Bitcoin does well. If Bitcoin breaks 42,500, then we'll see a strong increase from Luna, just because that knee-jerk reaction where people want to start investing more in altcoins. But again, without Bitcoin, I would say that Luna does have potential. But based on the technical charts alone, we're going to see some sideways action, possibly retracement down to 1320 to 1350. Just be prepared for that. So just pay close attention to your, if you have an open position, set a stop limit just below the support level, right? Put it maybe at $13 just in case, because heaven forbid it starts falling and goes on a free fall, you'll still be able to take your profits. That's the key, right? At the end of the day, we all want to take profits, and that's what you want to try to do here. So just bear in mind that could happen. So just be safe and be smart and set your stop limits in case you can't monitor it day in and day out. Like somebody like myself, I thankfully can, and I really do. Obviously, I need to sleep at night, but I generally like to have a good stop limit just below support. That's the common theme for most of my trades. All right, so thank you so much for joining me here today. Also, feel free to reference my Telegram community, Patreon account if you'd like to show your support, of course. I do have a Signal group where I share all of my trades with my community. Best practice, kind of just help make sure that we all stay, stick together and trade smart and effectively. Hovering around 75% success rate right now for my overall conversion. So not terrible. Definitely could be better, but I'm working on it. So thanks again. We'll see you in the next one. Take good care. We'll see you.